guys! Firstly, I must apologize. I made the outage of the month number 5 recently, and I skipped outage of the month number 4. I'm sorry. This one, which is on free will, is there such thing as free will be number 4. This is an outstanding video on tips, extra stuff on respiration, because I did photosynthesis. I did a normal video on respiration, right? The basic version video on respiration, but I haven't done, and I said I was gonna do the extra video on respiration. So here it goes, right? And the focus mainly is on aerobic versus anaerobic respiration and the context of when the two happen in humans. Okay, so the first thing is why has aerobic respiration evolved, right? The first form of respiration and anaerobic respiration without oxygen is still being used by some organisms today, but why has aerobic respiration that uses oxygen evolved and in some cases taken over as the primary mode of respiration as opposed to anaerobic respiration? And the simple answer to that is that aerobic respiration that uses oxygen produces over 30 times more ATP per glucose molecule than anaerobic respiration. Far more energy, way loads more energy. So much energy that, you know, life forms have got time to film themselves, talk about themselves, and have others watch them talk about themselves. I mean, it's such a vain, vapid, pointless thing. It's great. Energy is wonderful. Now, the second thing is that it seems very straightforward to try to split organisms into aerobic ones and anaerobic ones, and we assume the humans are aerobic ones. We have all these systems solely dedicated to aerobic respiration, like our lungs to do gas exchange, and our heart that is connected to the lungs to put oxygen into the blood, and hemoglobin that carries the oxygen to deliver it. You know, so many things are because of aerobic respiration. But the truth is that anaerobic respiration happens in humans alongside aerobic respiration, and that in many cases that we don't necessarily realize, anaerobic respiration takes place. Any activity that we do that is sort of more strenuous than just sitting will probably make use of anaerobic respiration, because there's a limited supply of oxygen at any given time, and once you've used it up and it can no longer keep up with the oxygen that you're adding in via your breathing, anaerobic respiration kicks in. So every time you run upstairs, every time you power walk, essentially every time you feel your heart rate going up, because the link between those two things is very tight. How does the sequence go? Well, first of all, you need some sort of a measurement of when you are doing a lot of work, when you're using up a lot of oxygen. And of course, the oxygen being depleted and the carbon dioxide being accumulated is sensed directly by your chemical receptors. So this is directly wired in to the brain's control of the heart rate, and whenever this happens, the heart rate goes up to increase essentially your breathing so that you get more oxygen in overall. Now, your heart rate is going to be high or higher than usual for as long as that oxygen debt has yet to be paid. So you go out, you run up the stairs, and you start breathing heavily, and then you just start walking, but you're still breathing heavily. And depending on your fitness, that length of time where you're still breathing heavily is going to be longer or shorter. And the funny thing is that when you go up the stairs, for example, because of the movement, because you're climbing, sort of going up the stairs, it's quite difficult to actually breathe in fully. Like you have quite shallow breathing. But try this. Next time you have to go up the stairs, try breathing more deeply. So taking in more oxygen. A few steps before you're about to go up the stairs, and then during, and then a few steps after, and see if your heart rate actually doesn't go as high or doesn't go high at all, and you think, oh, my heart rate is not even going high, because you're actually supplying the oxygen that you need. Very interesting, do it. Now, I trust that you are already fully aware of the basics of respiration that I covered in the previous video, such as respiration is not breathing. That's not respiration, even though, funnily enough, they are so tightly linked. And the thing about plants, because plants photosynthesize, some people assume that they don't respire, that they just do photosynthesis. Well, photosynthesis and respiration are opposite reactions. And photosynthesis doesn't produce energy. It produces the glucose that contains the energy. You need respiration to make use of that energy, to take it back out of glucose. And all those sort of cool things, I'm sure you know them already. Got a suggestion, leave it in the comments, and to my warriors, I so can't wait for the next outage of the month. And I could just make it right now, but I'm just like penned, because then I've got suggestions and then I do them and then I have nothing else. So I'm just like, I'm just gonna save it. So just wait a month. It'll be worth it. It'll be so worth it. By the time you watch the next outage of the month about whether we have free will, you will probably be depressed.